Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Planco podcast. I'm Max. Today's guest is an entrepreneur, restaurant owner, Christina. We're at your location here, Zest restaurant. Beautiful background of fresh food. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, this is Zest. When did you open this location here?
We've been here for 2 years.
Right.
We're in next to Miracle Gardens. So we opened in November 2017. And prior to that, we were in Ibn Battuta Mall for about 12, 13 years.
If those of you aren't in Dubai and you don't know where any of those places are, come visit. We'll show you around. We'll take you to both of these locations. So 2005 was the first one.
Yes.
Also the year that Earthlings came out, a big documentary in the vegan world that everyone does seem to promote. So what inspired you to start your entrepreneurship?
It was really out of a need and a want for healthy food and a passion for healthy food. So I was living in London and I was on a trip to New York, and I was working as a graphic designer, and I just saw that healthy food was really accessible in New York. You could get salads and juices and smoothies, and in London at that time you couldn't really grab anything healthy quickly. And I thought, this is genius. If you're on the go and you want to grab something, it's good to be able to have that option. And I was a little bit bored with what I was doing in London, so I thought, okay.
How can you be bored in London? It's an amazing city.
I wasn't bored in London, I was bored with what I was doing.
True, yeah.
Yes,
I'm putting words in your mouth
London.
there. Yeah.
Yes, love London.
Yeah. But that's funny what you say about New York, because that is the place where you'd say the sad American diet, the standard American diet, and healthy food. But that was the place that inspired you to find healthy food.
Yes, it was. There was a lot of juice bars,
Right.
a lot of smoothie bars, a lot of salad bars. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought, let's put something together where you can get healthy food to the masses.
Yeah.
That was really
Well, I'm going to have a bite of my muffin now anyway.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
Which is vegan and gluten-free.
It is. Very
People
proud of
tend
that
to
recipe.
mix the two.
Yes.
So, whilst I eat this, can you just explain quickly why you choose to have gluten-free products as well?
There's a demand for it. It's as simple as that. There are a lot of people who have issues with their colon and their tummy, and they're reaching out for gluten-free products. And I've always felt that it doesn't matter what diet you're following or where you are on your food journey or your health journey, you should have access to healthy, nutrient-rich, good food that makes you feel well. So even if you're gluten intolerant, then you should be able to have a muffin.
Yes, and thank you for filling that void whilst I filled my stomach. So, do you see there's a rise in gluten intolerance, or do you feel that's a bit of a trend thing, or it's an awareness thing as well? Because I seem like the gluten-free movement seems to be, I don't know, following or joined to the vegan movement as well. And it's funny because I have a fly on my microphone, and I've been followed by flies on each of my previous episodes. I think I have a big fly following ever since the episode with Sophie Benker in Switzerland. So I don't know.
You have to Google what the animal spirit of the fly is, what that
Well,
represents.
I think it's my spirit animal now.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, but they seem to like my podcast, or they like your muffins. I'm not sure which one it is.
Cool. It's a vegan muffin.
Yeah.
Vegan fly.
Yeah. So, sorry, back to gluten then.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'd say that I'd noticed more gluten intolerant customers prior to the vegan rise.
Okay.
So we've had a lot of customers who asked for gluten-free products way before the vegan movement.
Right, okay, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But
I do think that a lot, because of how we're eating, how we're living, there's a lot of stress in everyone's life. I think that the whole tummy issue and gluten intolerance has been growing for quite a while.
Because I did an episode about gluten. It was a short one by myself. I was trying to understand, because a lot of people ask me, you're vegan, but do you eat bread? And it just left me completely flummoxed, really, because okay, there are a lot of breads that do have milk powder, cheese in them, but most breads are vegan.
Yes, absolutely.
And I didn't really understand why that would be bad for me unless I was actually celiac.
Yes. Yes, and we have a baker who does our bread, and he uses a traditional process of fermentation instead of using yeast. And he uses organic products, and all the bread that we purchase from him is like a sourdough product, and even though it's not gluten-free, his process is so pure and so healthy, and it's organic, that people who have a gluten intolerance can eat this bread, which is amazing. So often, I don't think that, I mean, some people obviously are allergic, but I think it's more a reflection of the state of your gut than
Right,
actually
okay. Then
an
intolerance.
allergy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, because I was reading also that there's a lot of good things in gluten and in bread because people cut out carbs. They do low
Yeah.
carb, high fat
Yeah.
diet. That seems to be a trend
Yeah.
because people call veganism a trend, but I would say it's not a trend. It's a shift in moral values, and it's not a
Yes.
diet because you can eat as much food as you want in theory,
Yes. Yeah.
within reason.
Yeah, I like that.
So the low carb, high fat diet. When I was reading about that, people were having a lot of problems because you're not getting the fiber in your diet and a lot of vitamins.
Yes.
So, what do you think about these low carb, high fat diets?
I don't really believe in following any sort of crazy or fad idea.
Yeah.
I believe in clean food, nutrient-rich food, feeding
Yeah.
your body what it needs. And so I'm not judging anyone who does it. If it works for them, then power to them. But personally, for me, I think fresh food, clean food, preservative-free. I personally am vegan, so I, like vegan food, but I think the more important thing is that it is clean,
Yeah.
fresh,
The whole
nutrient-rich,
food.
whole foods, that you know what's going into your food, that you know how it's being prepared and cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the grandma's cooking theory.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Because nowadays it's true, you can be a very unhealthy vegan, which I
Yes.
probably am one of those. I love all the processed stuff. We are in Zest restaurant, so if there is any background
Portals
noise,
going
there's a
on.
lot going on. It's good, there's a demand for
Yeah.
some vegan food going on here. It's just what we want,
Yes.
support the demand.
Yeah.
So like you said, you are vegan.
I am, yes.
And a lot of this is about the healthy aspects and promoting healthy food.
Yeah.
But is that the reason you became vegan originally?
I think that, well, my journey has been a journey like it is for most people. So I've been a vegetarian for about 27, 28 years now.
Yeah.
So it really started with me being a vegetarian, and then it's gradually moved across to a vegan diet.
Right.
It's a combination. It started originally actually health-wise, just feeling better by cutting out meat and moving towards a vegan diet. But I have to say now, obviously, my passion for the planet and for animals is really the driving force behind it. But I think a lot of people end up going vegan based on health issues. It might be where they start.
Yeah, it has to start with yourself. A bit selfish, isn't it? And it has to be some incentive. For me, it was the same. It was a personal interest in becoming vegan, and now it's about the animals at the center of that now, and then the rest comes.
Yeah.
That's why I do encourage people at least try it a little bit,
Yes.
or it can benefit you in this way,
Yeah.
and then you'll see the real reasons to why we do it afterwards.
Yes.
Because you were telling me an interesting story about fish, whereas
Yes.
no one ever mentions fish when they talk
Yeah.
about veganism because they're always left aside because they're not
Yeah.
mammals and people say they don't feel.
Oh gosh.
But
Yeah.
would you mind sharing that story with us?
Yeah, well, I don't know how old I was, maybe 6 or something, and I saw a fish being pulled out of the ocean and killed in front of me, like banged against the sides and then with a knife. And I just innately, with every bone in my body, felt that was wrong.
Yeah.
And there was this beautiful creature swimming in the ocean who was clearly part of our planet, and what gave us the right to pull it out and to kill it. And I think that's actually where it started for me. That's where I felt that it was wrong to kill animals.
Right.
And I grew up in a Swedish household. I am Swedish, and so a lot of meat and a lot of fish. And in my teens, early teens, I said to my family that this is not food what we're eating. And that wasn't very popular at the time. But as I got older and I was able to, communicate my needs and what I wanted to feed my body with, they have shifted massively as well, which is awesome to see.
I mean, it's great when you see the impact that you have on your loved ones and the close ones, and
Yeah.
it's for their health as well.
Yes,
It's not
absolutely.
you want your loved ones to be healthy,
Yes.
and everyone does.
Yeah.
And it's interesting is that as a child, because we don't listen to children,
Yeah, we should.
but children are innocent, and
Yes.
what they feel is what we all felt, but we
Yes.
get pushed into this mold
Yeah.
to ignore and to normalize the cruelty and be like, it's fine to kill these
Yeah.
animals, but then it's not fine to kill these ones.
Yes. It's
That's
insane.
speciesism.
Yeah.
It's really unfair. And another thing I wanted to touch on, that you do talk about the healthy diet, and you are vegan yourself,
I am, yes.
but you do serve non-vegan food as well.
We do, yes.
Okay.
We serve chicken and fish.
Right.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, in an ideal world, I would love to have a completely vegan restaurant,
Right.
organic vegan restaurant. But I also feel that it is my purpose to educate people and also to open our doors to wherever you are on your food journey or your health journey, that you have a place to come to eat healthy, nutrient-rich food.
Okay.
And I don't think that we can go from, if someone is eating fast food, meat-based diet, that we can demand of them to move across to a vegan diet in one go. It has to, for it to be sustainable, it has to be in steps. And so I would rather than, if you are a meat eater, come to us and eat a healthier version and a lighter, and let us move towards a plant-based diet.
So you're
together.
bridging that gap, basically. You're giving them that transitional step.
Yeah.
So do you find with the customers that come here, are they a majority vegan, non-vegan?
It is a real mix.
Yeah.
A real mix. So, and I would say the majority of people, probably our customers, are people who are not vegan. However, they want to eat less meat.
Right, okay. The reducitarians,
they want to reduce their meat. They want to go more towards a plant-based diet. And statistically, that's the part of our population that's growing.
Yeah.
People are becoming more aware, more educated. They're realizing it's not good for their bodies. And I also feel as well, which I've always innately felt, that what is good for me and my journey may not be good for you. Under no circumstance can I judge you where you are in your journey.
Right.
Although my wish is obviously that animals aren't killed, but
Yeah, I mean, in today's world, 70 billion land animals are killed, over 3 trillion fish, and the vegan population is between 3 to 7%.
Yeah.
So we're a huge minority.
Yes.
So it is conflicting morally I can understand where you're coming from when you say that serving chicken and fish can conflict with your morals, but if you're bridging a gap and you're offering solutions to people to move towards a plant-based diet, then it's already great.
Yes.
I mean, when I first saw your menu and I was like, oh, but she's got fish on here, and I was like, is this a trap? Why am I going here? But then the more I thought about it, as much as ideally I don't support it, in practice I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. And that's the conflict.
And also, if they can come to us and be our customers and find that they feel well when they're eating our food, it is much easier to introduce the vegan food. And it's my belief as well that when you follow a vegan diet, it should be a colourful diet, it should be a satisfying diet and an enjoyable diet. And so our products are incredibly tasty, nutrient-rich, fresh products. So what we find is, for instance, we do a vegan burger, vegan hamburger. And it's one of our most popular products on the menu, and it's not just vegans who eat it.
Right.
We worked a really long time to develop the burger that is, I mean...
I don't want to take trade secrets from you, but like, what are the main components in the patty?
So it's a bean-based patty.
Okay.
And then we use flax seeds instead of egg. That's a standard for a vegan egg replacement. We use oats, we use a lot of vegetables, a lot of spices, and it is so scrumptious.
That's a healthy burger.
I'll send you home with one for lunchtime so you can taste it.
Do you put cheese on it? Any kind of vegan cheese on it? Or?
No, we don't have vegan cheese, no, but we have our own homemade barbecue ketchup.
Ooh.
And our homemade vegan mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And our homemade guacamole. And so it's a tower of a burger.
Wow.
It's a mighty meal.
Because I was talking a few episodes ago to Seika Meja, she's a lifestyle and food blogger, and we were talking about vegan burgers, and that they were always so dry.
Yeah.
And so I love burgers, I love junk food, huge junk food fan, always have been, probably always will be. Probably should eat more of this stuff that's behind. But I always found those burgers, they lacked the juiciness of the meat burgers and the sauce, and so
it should be delicious.
Yeah, of course.
There's no reason that you should not have a gorgeous meal just because it's vegan. And we'll be launching very soon a vegan spaghetti with non-meat meatballs.
Okay.
And you should be able to have everything that...
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it's like whatever you can make non-vegan, I can make vegan better and tastier and healthier.
Yes.
I was making a shepherd's pie, I think it was a few weeks ago, and with lentils instead of the mint, which is great because you get the protein and without the saturated fats, the cholesterol.
And it's filling.
And it's very filling and very, very tasty as well. So, how do you do your menu? Do you separate vegan and non-vegan menus, or do you have everything on the same, or is it entwined?
It's entwined, but we also have a function where you can select if you want to look at only the vegan products. So if you only follow a vegan diet, you can look at that page of the menu.
Right.
But otherwise it's all mixed. But we do state whether it's vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, organic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, organic is also a big thing that seems to be, I don't know, debatable, but a lot of people claim the vegan diet's expensive, which it isn't. And then, but people are like, if you eat organic, it becomes expensive. So do you use only organic products, or is it a
No,
mix of both?
we have a mix. So we get all our organic products from Green Heart Organic Farm.
In the UAE?
In the UAE.
Ah, amazing.
Yes. So they're actually just around the corner from us.
Okay, I'll put a
So,
link to them anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful farm, and we've gotten over the years to know the owner, Eleanor, and I feel that she does a beautiful job and an authentic production of organic food. So we use a lot of her organic vegetables, but what we do is that we state when it's organic.
Right.
We can't do it. It's financially not possible to do it for everything. So what we do is we state when it's organic, and when it's not, it's not.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
but when we can, we do our acai bowl is organic. We do a beautiful farm salad that's
Yeah.
organic. We do a raw, gluten-free, vegan Vietnamese wrap with peanut sauce, and the peanut sauce doesn't have any peanuts, but it is just divine.
How can it be a peanut sauce without peanuts? That's have to come and try it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
At
try
Zest,
it.
yeah.
Yes, it's delicious.
Yeah. So 2005, the first
Yeah.
restaurant. 2017, 2 years ago, this
Moved
one,
here, yeah.
where we are. Have you seen the demand grow in those 14 years now for healthy and vegan food?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we were the first the first healthy restaurant to open in Dubai ever. So in 2005, there weren't many. I mean, now there's a lot of restaurants around,
Yeah.
but then we were the only one. And so over time, we've been lucky in that sense that our passion and what's driving Zest is really what's been growing in the market.
Yeah. You don't see that as competition, or
No, I welcome it. I mean,
Yeah.
God, the more healthy and vegan and gluten-free and healthy food that's available, the better.
Yeah.
Our concept is that we open our doors to everyone, where we want the masses to have access
Yeah.
to healthy and nutrient-rich food.
And I think if there's more offer, there's going to be more demand as well.
Yes, and also people become more aware of it,
Yeah.
and so they become savvier customers, which I really promote. People should ask what's in their product.
Yeah.
They should ask how it's being produced. Just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. Ask
True.
what oils are being used. Ask if there are any preservatives, because you can use preservatives to make things last longer and taste better. But if it's not fresh
Yeah.
and nutrient rich, then it's not really serving you. And that's what we're about. Whatever you're eating here should be serving you well. It should be feeding your cells of your body. It should be giving you life and energy and vitality.
Yeah. I mean, you're clearly radiating. I mean, just so
Thank you.
obviously eat here a
The
lot.
company.
Yeah.
I do eat here a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's
we
a
deliver,
good
so it's
idea.
very easy, even when I'm home.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's good actually. Have a restaurant. Always have food.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Very lucky.
So, let's say, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this who are like, that's genius, open a vegan restaurant. Every vegan wants to open a vegan restaurant. Yours vegan, what do you call it? Vegan friendly or vegan accessible? Or you don't even name it, do you?
Healthy, nutrient-rich food.
Yeah, because it doesn't say vegan.
No, we say
Oh, that's
healthy.
actually- yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do a lot of juice cleanses, fresh juice and fresh
Yeah.
smoothies, and we promote fasting in that sense as well, which may be odd if you're in the restaurant industry, but I think that fasting is the most phenomenal thing you can do for your body, juice fasting.
Right. You own a restaurant and you're telling people to fast.
Yes,
That
juice
is-
fasting. Yeah.
Doesn't sound very economically
I know.
viable.
Sounds like the wrong thing to be doing,
Yeah.
but it's something that I'm very passionate about. A juice fast is, for me, the quickest thing to reset your body. It's the quickest way of resetting your system, balancing your body. If you go into even if you do just a 1 day, but if you go into a 3-day fast, your body is really cleaning house. You're detoxing, you're balancing your system, and it's able to do what it does best. The body is phenomenal, and if
Yeah.
you give it the right environment, it'll do amazing things.
How long would you recommend for a juice fast?
I think that if you can go to 7 days, that's phenomenal.
7 days straight?
Yes.
Wow.
But even if you do a morning of fasting,
Okay.
or if you do a day of fasting of juice, I do promote juice fasting. I don't think you should drink water. I think that's very hard to do.
Yeah.
And you need the fruit sugars from the fruit for your cells and for
Yeah.
your brain and everything. So
Because intermittent fasting seems to be quite
It's a
a
big
thing at the
thing,
moment.
yeah.
I read something quite interesting. It was like millennials have made skipping breakfast into
Yeah.
something called intermittent fasting,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
quite interesting. So
Yeah.
when you do the juice fast,
Yes.
you obviously need to still get the nutrients.
Yeah, from the juice.
So
Needs
you're
to be fresh
using
juice.
different fruit, vegetables to get that balance.
Yes, so we've got different packages, so you can go, you can have a soup and smoothie fast, so that's like much gentler.
Soup counts.
Well, not in terms of fasting, but in terms of helping your digestive system and
Right.
giving that a break. Then you can move across to smoothies and juices, then you can go across to a mixture of different juices, or you can do a pure orange juice fast, which is the ideal. But if you've never fasted before...
Just orange juice?
Just orange juice.
How much of it every day?
So you would drink a little glass like this every hour. So you need to make sure that you're rehydrating every hour for 12 hours, and then you have 12 hours of resting.
Yeah. Because I heard that orange juice, with the acidity in it, you shouldn't drink it first thing in the morning. Is that true, or is that a myth?
It's not my belief at all.
No?
I think that, and there's a lot of talk as well about that it's acidic, or that you're getting so much sugar.
Yeah.
And obviously you should balance, but the fruit sugars is what your cells regenerate from. That's what they take from food to regenerate.
Because a lot of people are cutting out fruit from their diet, and there's no way that can
No.
be healthy.
No.
Can you possibly eat too much fruit?
I don't believe so. I
Yeah.
actually personally believe that we should all be fruitarians. That is my ultimate
Yeah.
belief. It's not easy to follow, and it's not, we all crave different foods, and so, but that's what I ultimately believe we are built for.
Fruitarian, is that the same thing as raw vegan, or just
No.
because that has vegetables, obviously, or
Yeah.
you're just considering only fruit?
Yeah, only fruit.
Okay.
I mean, I could personally, and me and my husband do this. We go away and we only we do either a fast or we do just fruit, and you
Okay.
feel so well. You have
Yeah.
so much energy. But that's that's my preference, and
Yeah.
I don't promote or tell people that they need to be fruitarians. But I think that fasting is a phenomenal way of resetting your system.
So how long would you recommend fasting for? Like every day, or
No.
is it over periods?
I think if you do it once or twice a year,
Okay.
and that you take a week of fasting, I think that's great. But you do need to have time off so that you're resting, because your body goes into a cleaning mode. It's cleaning house.
Right.
So you need to have the time and the space to let the body do the work. So you take a week off work, and
I'm always up for
ideally-
that.
And then ideally goes to a tropical location where you can get fresh fruit.
Right.
Needs to be freshly pressed juice. You could do coconut or you could do orange juice. Just take time out and chill. It's awesome. You
So
feel really well.
when you do the fasting, though, how many hours in a day are you fasting for?
12 hours.
Okay.
So you're drinking juice for 12, and then you're not
Nothing.
drinking for 12 hours. You can drink
Okay.
herbal teas for
Right.
the other 12 hours, but yeah.
I drink so much coffee, I don't think I could manage that. I should try it, actually.
Yeah, well, the first fast that I did, I thought I'll never last. Like,
Yeah.
I'll do a day, that's fine, because we can all go through a day without
Yeah.
eating. But I thought by the second day, I need food, for me to function. And I was so surprised and amazed how I actually got energy from fasting.
Okay.
And it was the first time that I realized that we think about food very differently.
Yeah.
We think we need food, but we need nutrients. That's what
Yeah,
our
well, we
body
think we
needs.
need meat, don't we?
Yeah.
Which is a similar debate. So you've been vegetarian since 26 years.
Yeah, 27.
27,
28,
yeah, well,
Long time.
long time. So what's the question that you get the most?
How are you getting enough protein?
Really?
Yeah, biggest question.
The
And
number
also,
one
what
question.
do you eat? There's nothing for you to eat. Like, if you don't eat meat and you don't eat cheese and you
Yeah.
don't eat dairy, like, what is there left to eat?
I find that really interesting because since I stopped eating meat, you remove basically 4 or 5 dead animals from your plate.
Yeah.
But then I've discovered food that I couldn't even imagine before
Yeah.
because there's so much more variety and I
Yeah.
enjoy the food because I know what it is and what it's doing
Yeah.
for my body and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. You discover so many different
Yes.
foods that you
and
don't
it's
get.
delicious, yeah. And I mean, I love my cappuccino in the morning. So we make our own plant milk. We do cashew nut milk here.
Okay.
So super frothy. Wouldn't know. I mean, you can taste the difference. I could taste it now. But in terms of the cappuccino and
Yeah.
frothiness and creaminess, it's just divine.
Yeah, because there's like 11 different plant-based milks now
Yes.
that are on the market.
Yes.
Is cashew your favorite? Well, you make it yourself, so it must be better.
Yes, it is my favorite because it's the creamiest one.
Right.
So it's a fat nut, and so it becomes very creamy when you foam it, and so I like that in a cappuccino.
A lot of people ask me about that, but I don't really drink milk because I've never
Yeah.
really liked it. And they're like, which plant-based milk do you recommend? So
Yeah.
I always say, well, if you're drinking hot drinks, try soy milk because it doesn't break down. Because oat
Right.
milk tends to break down, and almond as well, into the little particles, which
Yes.
taste fine, but it looks a bit gross for people.
Yeah. I'm not a massive fan of soya.
Yeah.
Because of how it's been manipulated.
Right, okay.
And that there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff around soya. So we actually don't have soya on our menu. We
Right.
don't use soya here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's like the number one replacement.
Yes.
But they say the hormones in soy, that's phytosynthesis, it's not the same as the hormones that's in cow's milk. So technically it's not as bad for you.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I haven't gone into detail, but I don't believe that it is the best thing for us to consume.
Well, clearly making your own cashew milk is probably healthier.
Yeah.
So talks a lot about health, a lot about
Yes.
fasting.
Yes.
So you're vegan, so clearly you must love animals.
Yes, I do.
And do you have any animals?
I've got 2 cats.
2 cats?
Yes.
So do I. What do you think about vegan pet food?
I'm not in favor of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, I very much look at how we're built, how we're designed, in terms of why, I talked about before believing that we're ultimately should be fruitarians, and I think because we don't have the tools in us to kill animals or to even dig very deep to get vegetables. And if I let my cat out, if I don't feed them anything, when they go out into nature, they will kill a bird or a mouse. And so,
Yeah, cats are natural hunters.
Yes.
They have the instinct to kill.
Yeah. And I don't like it. And I wish that I, could just feed them a vegan diet, but I don't think that's what's the healthiest
Yeah,
diet
it does
for them.
exist,
I do,
vegan cat food.
I know.
I think there's 1 or 2 brands now that do it. I haven't tried it, and
Yeah.
I'm like you, I'm very dubious about it
Yeah.
because there's so many arguments in both directions.
Yeah.
But dogs apparently can thrive on a vegan diet
Wow,
because they're not the
didn't know.
natural hunters, and even
Yeah.
physically, they have the
Yeah.
more omnivores. I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
vet. I don't know everything, but I've read into it, and a lot of people
Yeah.
that do have dogs on vegan diets are very, very healthy.
Right.
So it's
That's
possible.
good to know. Yeah.
Did an episode about that as well with Tamar, because her dog is vegan and he eats all her food.
Yeah.
So they kind of have the same diet.
Yeah.
And seems
and
fine.
that's good. That's convenient.
Well, yeah.
And cheaper. Must be. Yeah.
I mean, she makes the dog food,
Yeah.
pretty much so.
Well, I believe in natural food. So
Yeah.
in terms of feeding our cats, we give them organic and we feed them very, very well.
Yeah.
But a natural diet.
Yeah, because that's the thing as well. It's what's in the pet food
Yes.
that we feed them.
Yes.
And I was reading there's euthanized cats and dogs, there's animals from the zoo, and there's just all the waste from the
Yeah.
meat products that
Wouldn't
is not
surprise
fit
me.
for human consumption goes into the pet food.
Yeah.
So it's a bit,
Yeah.
it's always one that I find very conflicting.
Yes. Yeah.
And anyway, enough about that. If anyone wants to know more about pet food, look at the other episode with Tamar. I'll put a link to that one. And so now there's a huge rise in non-vegan brands, big companies, fast food chains that are bringing out vegan products, such as, I think it was KFC, they just brought out a vegan chicken thing.
Yeah.
And then there was McDonald's, they have the big vegan now. I actually
Yeah.
had that in Germany because I was curious.
How was it?
Not that great, to be honest. If you like burgers, I would recommend the Impossible Burger and the Beyond Meat, which is better.
But you haven't had ours yet.
And I haven't had yours, obviously, yeah. You put that in there. You slipped that in there very well. Very nice. But it's very conflicting to go to these places.
Yes.
Because you walk in and it's just loads of people feasting on animal flesh,
Yeah.
which I don't support. But then you're like, if I support these products, then these people are going to see there's an option and they can try it. So it's back to what you're doing as well, which is bridging that gap
Yeah.
and providing people with options.
Yeah. I've been more, I can't comment on what other companies are doing, and I'm glad that there's more exposure about vegan food. I think what's really important as a consumer is to look at what's in your food, even if it's vegan.
Yeah.
So read the ingredients. Do you understand all the ingredients? How's it being prepared? How's it being stored? How's it being cooked? What's it being cooked in? Check that you're actually getting a healthy product.
Yeah, that's the fly again.
There's
He's
the
back.
fly. It's loving me now.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting a nutrient-rich meal, then it's my belief that's not serving you. So yeah, I would just kind of do your research. I think everyone should consciously look at what they're consuming and what's going into their products.
Yeah, because it's true. I kind of do everything guilt-free. I'm like, it's fine. I can do whatever I want. It's vegan. I'm not harming anyone else, but I probably am harming myself with a lot of the processed foods that I am eating. Because it's true. It's not necessarily because it's vegan that it is healthy, which is an aspect that people need to think about. But if you're going to be unhealthy, at least don't harm animals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that there's and I think it's good that big companies are producing vegan products. I mean, it shows that there's a demand for it. There'll be more highlight in the media. And yes, if someone is going in to get a Big Mac burger and they're seeing that there's a vegan option, they're at least seeing that and they're being exposed to it.
At least starts the conversation, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's
and the
start...
more that's out there, the better.
Yeah. Do you take any supplements to your diet?
I take plant-based supplements, like powders and sometimes in my smoothie.
Like spirulina and these kind of things?
Yeah, yes. Okay. But I don't take any vitamins or vitamin C I do take.
Even with your orange juice fast?
I do. Well, not when I'm doing the orange juice fast, but yes, I take vitamin C just to kind of really boost my system if I feel a bit run down or tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people always talk about B12.
Yes.
Which is not really a debate because most people who aren't even vegan are B12 deficient because animals don't graze anymore and it's from the soil.
Yes.
I keep hitting this microphone today. So yeah, I mean B12 comes from the soil and they don't get it naturally from animals anymore. Even the animals are supplemented with it. So it's one that comes up a lot. Do you do regular blood tests?
I do, yes.
And
I'm fine, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And yes, I understand the concept of the B12. I've never had an issue with it, so I'm not really sure where I'm getting it from. But
well, maybe the organic vegetables, because it's in the earth. So if the soil could be from there.
Yeah.
It's always a bit of a confusing one.
Yeah, or climbing through bushes trying to find my cat in the night. Yeah. Maybe I'm just ingesting soil, who knows?
Yeah, probably. Or when they're climbing all over you and all that stuff. Yeah. So, Christina, it's been very interesting talking to you.
Likewise.
And I've had a lovely time eating your muffins, drinking your coffee, and looking forward to my vegan burger later on, which is very exciting. So, tell us something more about Zest that we haven't mentioned yet.
So I think what I would say is that I would welcome you to Zest. I would welcome anyone who is on any part of their food journey to come and try our food. And to anyone who isn't vegan, I would invite them to try our products because we're secretly very proud of them. They're delicious and they're nutrient-rich and they're freshly made. And we might even be able to sway the meat eaters when we serve them our products. So,
definitely, I think everyone should come and try it and see the food that you've got. Is there any documentaries or books you'd recommend for people to read if they're not vegan?
Gosh, do you know, I'm actually not really good when it comes to all the movies because I find them quite horrific to watch. So I'm really bad at promoting them. I think what I would instead recommend is that people go internal and connect and just kind of get a resonance with how they're feeling. Yeah. Energy-wise, do they have vitality? Do they have energy for life? Are they passionate about their life? Yeah. And if they're not, then perhaps they could make some changes. And I do believe that food plays a massive role in how connected we are to ourselves. And
what seems to have come up a lot whilst we've been talking is that before you judge something, look at what you're already consuming and look what's in that. Yeah. Be that the meat-eating diet that you're having now, look at what that is and what that's doing to you, and then see the alternatives.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it is the biggest growing segment of the market are the meat eaters who are deciding to eat less meat. Yeah. And I think that is gives us a lot of hope because that means that we have a big shift happening. There's a big change in consciousness that people are beginning to look at the planet, look how they're feeling, look at the animals. And I think that is so hopeful for the future.
Yeah, that's hundreds of millions of vegans in the making, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And on a finishing note, if you could have a direct conversation to the non-vegans that are watching this and listening to this still and who are just admiring this beautiful fruit. I don't know why I'm so fascinated with this fruit. I mean, it's like I've never seen fruit before in my life or something. I should eat more of it for sure. So what would you say to these non-vegans that are listening?
I would welcome them to try a non-vegan diet for a couple of days, and just to see how they feel, and just to notice if they feel, just see if they can see changes in their lives. Perhaps their life is flowing better. Perhaps there's more joy in their life. Perhaps they feel better and have more energy.
Yeah, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly. So yeah, I would invite every non-vegan person to try a vegan diet for a few days and just to see what it's like. Yeah.
And a great place to do that is here at Zest. And,
Thank you.
And we can order online as well, can't we?
Yes, absolutely. We have our own delivery, zest.ae.
Yeah.
And you can order online, or you can go through any of the major portals. We are on,
great.
I think, like 12 different portals. So
Wow. There's a lot of food ordering apps these days.
A lot of food ordering.
And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
We are indeed. Zest UAE.
Okay,
Zest
great.
UAE. Yeah.
I will put links to all of that down below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in today. Tune in next week for another episode with a lot less fruit behind me, probably. So enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.